I am no sailor, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. So today I got to go scuba diving 3 times. Early start, like seriously early start. I didn't sleep that well at all. So I remember looking at my phone about 4:25 in the morning. The alarm was set for 5:25 and I got out of bed 5:17, meditated, and then went through part of my normal morning routine. I got to answer a bunch of questions out of a application called The Stack from Wake Up Warrior. If you want to check that out, playwarrior.io. And then got my son up and we hit the road. 6 a.m. at the dive center, 6:15. Minor panic on the way. Gotta say, minor panic. Sammy was like, was it 5:45? I'm like, oh no, I thought it was 6:15. He's like, well, I heard 1:45. I was like, well, what am I gonna do? Not much I can do. We'll just have to move when we get there. Luckily, it was 6:15. And so we got our gear on and we headed out in the bus to arrive at the pass. The waves, swell is less today. The waves are still good, but we were not surfing. We were going diving. So yesterday, seasickness was pretty bad. Today, the dive master, the instructor, was like, well, try quells. So this is hyoscine, I think it's called, or hyoscine, something like that. So we both took one, and it was a weird experience because it felt like we should have been seasick, but we weren't. So it's this weird mismatch of kind of feeling sick, but not really. Very odd. The good news is that we dived that first dive successfully and a lot less current yesterday. What I want to tell you down there is that it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing to enter into this relatively alien world. Like, my thoughts were, at times, it was like going to that old movie called Avatar. I don't know if you've seen Avatar. If you haven't, at the time, it was groundbreaking. They would kind of have those 3D goggle things that didn't really work. But Avatar looked real. And then going down at Julian Rocks to scuba dive, it was like that. Particularly when we saw the giant manta ray. Now, manta rays are, I don't know, they're just incredible. Like, it was so cool to see this manta ray, and it was huge, like way bigger than I was expecting. I've seen stingrays before, you know, they're whatever, you know, they big. This thing was 3 times my size. Like, I'm 6'1", and this thing was huge. It was so cool. It was the coolest experience. Plus, there was all sorts of sharks and fish and coral and all sorts of cool stuff down there. So we did the skills and we came up. And then we changed the dive cylinders, the air tanks, while we're in the water, so that they're hand up to the boat. The skipper changes them, throws them back in the water, and then putting them back on in the water was a skill that we practiced on Tuesday and got to test that out. Put it on and then back down again. We went, and again seeing this giant manta ray. So cool, so cool. So we came back in to land after that. Had some kind of breakfast lunch. It was weird. It was like 9:15. My son's Sam's like, I want lunch. I'm like, dude, let's get breakfast. And it's like, nah, I want lunch. So he ended up having sushi, which was cool. And I just had miso. I just wanted to have some, I wanted to test out how my stomach was. So I was pretty hungry. Anyway, we went back out for the third one and once again took the quells. No real seasickness at all. And again, great dive. No manta ray this time, but super fun just playing down there in this alien world. Like, if you haven't learned to scuba and you would like to check out a world that is completely different to our standard world that exists up here, then you should definitely learn scuba. It is if you don't want to do the scuba thing, then free diving, but I would recommend that you get training on that. That the skill sets required will enable you to go deeper, but also safety will be far higher than if you just go do diving by yourself. You can die. It is possible to die from free diving, particularly if you're using like So Wim Hof breathing, these are recommended. Do not ever do them in water. Why? Because you'll pass out and drown. It's like, well, okay, well that wasn't very good. But if you want to check out this world, then you've got to find some way of getting down into the water successfully, whether that is free diving, whether that is snorkeling, whether that is scuba. Scuba was epic. Now, why did I do this? Well, part of me is excited now that I'm fully trained. I have been certified to be open water diver, and I can now go to Molokai. If you don't know what Molokai is a island in Hawaii. It's a volcano island, and half of it fell in the ocean. So there is this enormous cliff into the sea where the volcano erupted. Molokai, half of it fell in the ocean, so half of it's left, and you can dive that. You get dropped off and just like scuba all the way along, but you've got to be scuba certified. And I'm like, okay, great, I want to have this experience. What did I take from all of this? Well, I have been feeling pretty weird once we got back on land. Like, there's definitely been waves of like almost seasickness. Whether this is the quells, whether this is just the action, the ocean on me. I have experienced this one other time when I was in the Whitsundays on bareboating, and we'd been on the boat for like 5 days, came onto land, and it was a very distinct, the land was all moving. Obviously it wasn't moving, it was just my perception of it, but it was a very, very awkward and unpleasant experience, and that's what I've got now. Hopefully that settles over the next day, 2 days. I don't really want to keep having these experiences, but it was worth it. It was so cool. It was so cool. What did I take from it from a systems perspective? Well, look, these guys have systems that are being executed each day in order to get to that final result of certified scuba diver. Then all of the systems had to be executed. So day one was training in the pool. Before that was even watching the videos. Day one, training in the pool. Day two, diving, doing skill sets. Day three, diving, skill sets. And the fourth dive was a free dive. It was like, hey, you're good to go. You know your safety routines, you know how to use all your equipment, you're fully skilled, we're just going to check everything. 4 dives in, open certification. It was a pleasure. What I want you to know is that they were running systems to get this done, and none of the guys that were teaching the systems created the systems. So all they were doing was implementing the systems. Now, those systems would have gone under a lot of improvements over the years, and that is the coolest thing about actually having even the most basic form of a system, is that it allows you to improve it over time. Now, does this open up for what is a system? Sure. Could a system be a training course to learn scuba? Yes, it could. Could a system be a framework that you execute? Yes, it could. These words are describing the same thing, where there is a set of instructions that are being executed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next set of instructions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next set of instructions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whether you call them frameworks, whether you call them courses, whether you call them systems, it doesn't matter. The idea here is that by doing set amounts of work, that you can get the results that you want. When you see this, then life will take a very different turn. No longer will you be curious or astounded by why did some things happen. You will suddenly see the world as a massive, enormous, incomprehensible system that continually produces results. Those of you who are getting this will begin to see that the documentation of systems becomes important, because then you can troubleshoot your systems until you get the results that you want. All right, that's all I'm going to leave you with for today. I am getting the wave of nausea right now. It's pretty trippy. It's like, well, the world is not a stable place right now. Isn't that a commentary on 2022? But anyway, I'm going to go to bed and get some sleep. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's episode as we continue this journey into the power of systems, create results. See you then.